Hi guys, welcome
back again. Mommy's back. So tell a friend. It's Autism Month, this month of April. So in celebration of autism and everything autistic, we've decided that we're going to do a few videos, because I know, thank you very much to those ones who reached out to me and the ones who sent me messages on Snapchat, Facebook, everywhere you sent messages. Thank you very much. And we thought to look at some of your questions and things that concern you the most and try and talk about those. So one of the most asked questions was, how do we deal with autism as an ethnic minority family? So originally, as you know, I'm from Zimbabwe. So the community I've grown in is all Zimbabweans, and the majority of the people I know here in the UK are Zimbabwean. And nonetheless, many of you, even if you're not Zimbabwean, you're from an ethnic minority, Black, Asian, whatever, there is some common, there's some commonalities in our culture and our perception of disabilities. So I thought it would be a very good video to start with, to sort of like explore my own personal experiences raising a son who's autistic, from an ethnic minority community. I think the most important thing I learned was that there is a lot of awareness that needs to be raised, amongst people in my community and ethnic minorities as a whole, particularly the perception towards autistic children. I mean, we have a long way to go, and some of it is pure ignorance. Some of it is that there's no open dialogue, if you like, about disabilities and how as a community we are dealing with issues around disability. And also the other issue is denial. So I can talk on, I can go on and on and on about this particular topic because it's one that is close to my heart. But what I want to say is, what I found is when I found it very difficult, and some of it was my own perceptions, if you like, my own misgivings, my own judging myself, that how is my son going to be accepted. But what I want to say and challenge every one of the mothers, fathers, parents, caregivers of children with disabilities is, the most important thing is to speak up. It doesn't help my son if I keep quiet and choose not to address and speak about these issues that he faces on a day-to-day basis, issues around trying to manage in a very great big world where he doesn't understand things. I'll tell you an example. When Rio and I raise my son, if you haven't watched the first video, when Rio and I are going places, particularly if there is a gathering of Zimbabweans or whatever, initially I used to struggle with that, because some of the death stares you'd get, like when they get anxious, when particularly my Rio, when he gets anxious, he starts jumping around, doing the most, in other words, so that you can take him home, because he doesn't want to be there. And because he really doesn't know how to explain that, Mom, I'm anxious, the best he can do is misbehave, so that I can say, do you know what, we're going home. So what I decided to manage that situation, I can only manage that situation. I cannot manage people's stares or how people look at your son as if he is the most misbehaved. I cannot manage that. That is them. I can manage my situation with my son. So what we do is, I do not take him to places where he's going to be there the whole night, or he's going to be there for 10 hours, because I know he cannot cope with that. And I prepare him when I'm taking him out. That is what I can do. So number one, to deal with perceptions and issues of people staring, manage your own situation, manage your own environment. Know what your child can tolerate and what your child cannot tolerate. It's pointless taking them into a place which is very noisy and expect them to to be calm and behave if they don't like noise. And manage that situation by avoiding taking them to those places. Or if you really have to, prepare them for it, and be in a position where you know, you're ready, you can leave if they, you know, if they start feeling anxious. So what I'm saying is, people's perceptions, people's stares, so what, they can look if they want to. What you can do is manage the situation the best way you can. Like I'm saying, take them to places where they're comfortable. If you have to take them to places where they're uncomfortable, ensure that you carry with you things that make them comfortable, and try and, you know, leave as soon as you can. That's the first thing. So manage your own situation. Don't worry about the death threats, the death stares, because people will stare. The other thing I've learned, particularly, you know, when people are looking, because when we're growing up, you know, kids with disabilities, people used to say things like, "Ona saskamiro, ona zinke," you know, meaning, you know,
it's
derogatory, yes. So we grew up around that, where there was a lack of understanding. So what I tend to do is I do things like this. I talk about my son in context of my son. I cannot tell you about your children or what the issues are, because autism is very specific to your own child, your own daughter, your own son. So I cannot tell you about them because their triggers are different. How it affects them is very different. But what I can say is, your child is no less than any other child. And what you need to do, the duty that you have, regardless of people's judgy ways or people's stary ways or people's misconceptions, you've got a right to advocate for them. If people are not understanding because they're ignorant of it, you've got a duty to teach your immediate family about, you know, what autism is. So what you need to start doing now, parents, is research more about the condition. Research and research. It's pointless hiding under the, you know, under a rock and thinking, oh, you know what, this is going to go away. No, it won't. You need to read about it, read about the condition, look at it in context of your child, how it affects them, and be an advocate for them. The world is full of mean people. And when you see somebody being mean, I'm not frightened. Ask Mercy to challenge. Yeah. I will challenge people. And not in a very bad way. I don't fight people. I will ask questions, because sometimes it's purely ignorance. So I'll say, you know, what is bothering you? What is concerning you? If I need to educate, I'll educate. If I need to say this is not right, it doesn't fit my son's needs, I will say it. So apart from managing your own, you know, your own environment, managing your son's anxieties or child's anxieties, you also have to learn to advocate for them. So there's a lot of management, a lot of advocating as well. Right? The other issue is, coming from a minority group, you have a duty of care and a duty to give your son, your child, the belonging and the identity they need. Right? My son is black first and foremost, and then secondly, they've got autism. I'm not going to take that away from them because, you know, black people are mean or Zimbabwean people are horrible. No, I'm not going to do that. I will, like I've said, advocate, manage his right to be part of that community. So if there's something that is happening that I want him to be part of, I will take him there. You know, people might ask questions. I will answer them if I can. If people look at him wrong, I will tell them not to look at him wrong. So there is a lot of, you know, awareness that we've got a job at hand. And I'm calling on everyone who's got, you know, the autistic children, children with disabilities in general, that, you know, instead of hiding, instead of burying yourself and thinking, oh, this is the worst thing that can ever happen to me, you have a duty of care and give your child the belonging they need. All right. And the final thing in terms of managing, you know, being from an ethnic minority, also is about not neglecting the fact that not only do you have a duty of care, not only do you have to advocate for your child, not only do you have to manage the situation, but you also have to love them. You also have to love them unconditionally. Because the other thing is, growing up, those kids were, you know, when I grew up around kids who were autistic, or kids were with disabilities in general, sometimes you'd never see them. You know, I had neighbors who, I only found out that they had a disabled child when there was a funeral in the house. That's the first time I saw that child. And that child was over a teenager.
Sad,
you cannot hide them, yes. You cannot make yourself feel guilty because, you know, they've not done anything. They just want the right to belong. So whatever the community does, says, or acts, you have a right to love your child unconditionally. You know, I think they're very accepting of themselves. You know, my son thinks it's the best thing that ever happened since sliced bread. I don't know if anyone else told him anything different. You'd actually laugh at you and go, what are you talking about? Just today we were having a conversation. I was saying, Rio, you know, the baby is coming. So so you're going to be an uncle? And Rio goes, no, I'm not only an uncle. I'm Uncle King Shepherd Rio. I see all those titles. So and we have had to, we work on that. I've never made my son feel any different to any other child. Yes, there'll come a time when I'll have to have conversations with him about some things that are limitations in this world we live in. I will discuss those with him. But for now, I know my son is good. I know my son is happy in his own environment. So who are you to hide or shy away from your child? You see, so those are the things I'm trying to say. I know minorities are very judgy sometimes, but you've got a duty to do all the things, right? And then he comes. Hi, viewers, come and say hi to our viewers, right? And say, why are you in such a hurry?
Why is such a hurry?
Why are you in such a hurry? What do you want to buy?
Ice cream.
Okay. So what ice cream are you having today?
Recipe.
Recipe or raspberry?
Raspberry.
Okay, he just come to collect his money for ice cream and to go and buy ice cream.
I'm going downstairs, bro.
I'm going solo now, just for a few minutes whilst Messi sorts Rio out. But what I was trying to say was, we have a duty to love our kids unconditionally. And just to wrap up this you know, I wasn't going to go into the sad stories of, oh, our children are not accepted. I was going to what I was going to discuss.
There's enough of those stories
yes.
around. We need something more
empowering
and uplifting, and actually something that gives other parents hope, other families hope, you know?
Yes.
That's what this channel is about.
Yeah. I was saying, for you to be okay, I've always said this to people in informal or formal settings, for you to be okay and accepting of the diagnosis, you have to be okay with yourself. The other issue is, if you have not dealt with your own internal struggles, you know, when you walk out there, it will feel like you've got this big label that I'm a mother to a disabled child. The shame, the guilt, everything, you'll carry all that. You know, so go to a happy medium within yourself. For you to be able to deal with, to be able to be the parent, the black or ethnic minority parent you need to be to a child, you have to deal with your own internal feelings. What I'm trying to say is, you'll notice it more that your counterparts are judgy, and you'll not be prepared. You will not be able to do the other things I've discussed: the managing, the advocating, the duty of care. If you haven't dealt with your own internal struggles, you have to find exactly what it is that bothers you about your child's diagnosis. Deal with that. If you're ashamed, why are you ashamed? What is making you uncomfortable? Whatever it is, look it headstrong, sort it out, because once you do not deal with those things, they'll transfer. You know, if you're ashamed of your child, you make excuses for them. If you're guilty, you try to then mollycoddle them, because you know you're transferring your own internal struggles to your child, who doesn't know any of these things. So my word of cautionary advice is that for you to be the best parent you can be, you need to sort out your internal before you deal with the external. Yes, people who are prejudiced are always going to be there. People who look at you sideways are always going to be there. But for you to manage that, for you to be able to support yourself and your son, child, you have to be okay with those feelings. So if you like this video, please put a thumbs up. You know, comment down below if there are things that I've said you don't particularly agree on, or if you just want to open a dialogue. It's time as a community we had this honest conversation, started speaking up for our children.
I'll be posting videos every Tuesday starting this week till the end of the month. So every Tuesday expect a video. And yeah, just if you have any questions or any video suggestions or anything that you would like to be added into the video as a topic, do not forget to comment down below, and yeah, I'll let mum know and she will do that for you. If you guys want to speak to mum personally, actually message me on Snapchat. If any of you guys don't feel comfortable commenting down below and you want to have private conversations, you'll find mum on my Snapchat. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Take care of yourself and each other. Bye.
Bye guys.